so you get these nice colored reflections. Especially looks good on the metallic surfaces like this. Hey everyone, welcome to my new tutorial. Today we are going to make this cute little robot, and I really hope you will enjoy this one. And if you do, please don't forget to leave that like. And if you're new to the world of 3D and Blender and you want to learn in the most effective way, be sure to check out my courses. I carefully designed them to take you from beginner skills through low-poly illustration all the way to full character illustration and textured environment in the shortest time possible. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. Now let's jump right into empty Blender file, and we'll leave the camera in place and we'll use the default cube. So let's just select the light here, press X and delete. Now select the cube and we'll look from the front and press G then Z and move it up a little bit. Now tap into the edit mode, press S then X and scale it on X axis. And now we'll right click and choose subdivide, and let's do this 2 times so we have some more geometry in place. And now let's go to the toolbar where the shear tool is. Let's click and hold and choose to sphere, and let's click and drag here to make this a little bit more rounded like this. And now we can tab out and let's go here and add subdivision surface modifier, and let's increase the levels in the viewport to 2. And right after that I will go ahead and apply the modifier so we can separate the screen here and create those like little pixels there. So let's tab back into the edit mode, press 3 for face select. Let's select this face right here, and let's click this face on the opposite side right here and press E to extrude it inside. And now press P and separate the selection. Now we can tab out and select the main object again. And again in the modifiers panel, let's go ahead and add subdivision surface modifier once more and right click and shade smooth. So this way we have this shape in place and we have the screen separated. So now let's tab into that, press A to select all, press G then Y and move it towards the front a little bit. And now we'll press F3 and search for split, and we're gonna split faces by edges. So now all of these faces are separated even though it's not visible. So let's toggle the X-ray and we can press E to extrude them like this. And press A to select all and Shift N to recalculate normals in case they're incorrect. And now we can tab out and let's disable the X-ray view. And let's go ahead and add the bevel modifier. And right here you will see they're separated. And now we can reduce the amount like this, increase the number of segments, and press Ctrl 1 to add subdivision surface modifier here as well. Right click and shade smooth so we have this nice little pixel display. And that's probably the most important part of the bot. So let's go ahead and shift right click here on the side. We'll create a wheel here. So let's press Shift A and let's add a circle. Now press R, then Y and 90 to rotate this 90 degrees. And now let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, press G then Z and move it down so it touches here. Now tap into the edit mode, press F to fill and E to extrude. Like this we can make it a little bit more chunky. And now let's give this some more geometry because we'll be using the subdivision modifier again. So press I to inset and let's select this face right here and do the same thing. Now let's hold Alt and select the loop all around and press I to inset. And now Alt E and extrude faces along normals and let's push it inside like this. And now we'll press Shift D to duplicate this, right click to release in place, and now again we'll press P and separate the selection. That will separate it into a new object right here. So we can continue here. So let's select this face, press I to inset and I once again. So we have again a little bit more geometry there, and press E to extrude inside. Now I again for inset and E to extrude, and one last inset for some cleaner geometry there. Now we can tab out and let's add subdivision modifier here. Let's increase to 2, right click and shade smooth. So this should be the result. And now let's select the object we separated, tap into the edit mode, press A to select all and Alt E and extrude along normals. So we extrude it outside like this. And let's press 1 for vertex select. And now let's toggle the X-ray And let's press Ctrl I to invert the selection. So we select all of these vertices on the inside. And now let's press 3 for face select, or you can switch these right here and press X and delete faces. So this way, when we add subdivision surface modifier, we'll make sure that the bottom will not get rounded here. So let's toggle the X-ray again, tab out, and let's add that subdivision modifier here as well, and increase levels to 2, right click and shade smooth. So this is how it should look like. And now we can select this, hold shift, select the wheel and press Ctrl J to join it back again. No need to have it as a separate object. And now let's add a modifier. Let's choose the mirror, and with the eyedropper tool we'll pick the body. So we mirror this on the other side. And now to make this look a little bit more interesting, we can select the body, tab into the edit mode, press 3 for face select, select one of these faces right here in the corner. Let's look from the top, and let's hold Ctrl and Shift and select on the other side. I think there'll be this one right here, or maybe even lower, so like here. And we'll press Shift D to duplicate and P and enter to separate. Now we can tab out, select the top patch, tab into the edit mode, press A to select all and press G then Z, move it up. And now press 2 for edge select, hold Alt and click the side loop, and now hold Alt and Shift to select these other loops and press E then Z and extrude them down like this. Okay, that's just a little detail that will add some complexity to the model. And now this will be mostly all about, lighting and about that pixelated face and some materials to make it look interesting. So first of all, let's hold Shift S and snap cursor to world origin. We'll press Shift A and add a plane. Now tab into the edit mode and press S to scale it up like this. And now let's hit 0 on the numpad to look from the camera, tab out, select the camera right here, press G then Z and move it up. And now we can select the wheels, the top part, the display, and the body, and press Ctrl P and parent to object. So now if we select the body, press R then Z, we are rotating everything at once, just like that. And now let's press Ctrl B to limit the render preview only to camera bounce. Go to the render settings, switch to cycles, and I will enable GPU denoising right here, both for viewport and rendering. And now let's reduce the samples to something like 512 for the render. And I will switch the denoising to optics. And now let's hold Z and switch to render preview. And now this is of course too dark, so let's press Shift A and we'll add a light. And let's choose the area light, press G then Z and move it up. Make it a little bit larger. And let's increase the power to something like 250. Okay, that should be enough. Now let's make this a little bit more interesting. So let's select the body and we'll create a new material. Or you can use the material already in place, just make it a little bit brighter. And let's go ahead and reduce the roughness to something like 0.05, so it's glossy. And you will see this object has the same material because it was separated from the cube. So now let's just select the wheel and let's apply the same material. But now let's create a new material slot. Let's tab into the edit mode, let's click away, and let's hover over the middle part, press L to select linked. And let's click assign and a new material, and now we'll just reduce to black almost, maybe not too much, so it's like a dark gray. And we can leave the roughness at 0.5. And now let's press 3 for face select, select this face right here and hold Ctrl, and with the plus on the numpad we'll expand the selection and create yet another material slot, hit assign and create a new material. And now we'll increase the metallic value all the way to 1. So now we have a little metallic detail right here, and we can reduce the roughness tiny bit if you want. And now let's select the display and let's remove the material there and create a new one. And let's make it dark like this. Maybe not all the way. Okay, and let's create a new material slot, create a new material there, and here we'll add some emission. So scroll down, choose the emission color, so go all the way to white, and now change the hue to something like this. And for the emission strength we'll go something like 5. And now we can tab into the edit mode, let's click away to the select, and we can select these individual parts with L for select linked. So let's go ahead and paint some nice face. So I will just hover here and press L to select linked and continue like this, pressing L again. And now we can select something like this here. And we have a nice robot face. So let's scroll up here and hit assign. So now you will see the emission kicks in. But to make this look much nicer, we can go ahead and select the display material again. Let's go down here and increase the transmission all the way to 1. And now as you start making this brighter, you will see some of that color will shine through. So maybe this was too much, so let's go to the emission shader again, and I think something like 3 might be enough. But you can see how the color and the light bleeds through these like individual display pixels, and this gives it really nice you know, like a fall off around, so it doesn't look just like, you know, flat pixels, but actually looks like a physical pixelated display. So let's go back here and maybe increase the brightness even more, and maybe give this some color like a blue tone or something. And the rest again is all about the lighting. So let's look from the camera, and I will select the background, create a new material, and we can go like a brighter white color here. And now we'll duplicate several lights around the scene. So let's select the main area light. First of all, I will switch this to disk. Now let's look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad, and I'll press Shift D to duplicate this to the side like that. Let's look from the camera again, and I will make it smaller and bring it down. As I'm moving the light, you can see these reflections right here, and that's the thing that will make your glossy materials stand out, because if you have no lights in the scene or you are not using HDRI, basically even the glossy material will feel very flat. So you need to either bring manually more lights into the scene or use HDRI, but I prefer this method because I have the full control over the reflections and the light colors and everything. So let me duplicate this once again and bring it to the other side, and let's bring it higher up. And now you can see we have more reflections on the metal material as well, and we can go ahead and in the world color bring in some blue tones that will help us to blend these a little bit better together. And now we can duplicate one more light to the back, so Shift D and then press G and Shift Z to move it only on the X and Y axis. Move it back, and for the backlight we can go quite stronger, something like 1000. And you will see if you make it a little bit larger, it will create these nice reflections on top again, like this. And we can maybe go more blue for the world. And now if you press Shift A and add the point light, they will create the point light right underneath the bot. So let's look from the front and just move it to the side a little bit like this. And now you will see the effect. So maybe there's some like, you know, charging light under the bot or something. And we can balance out those blue tones here by introducing some orange light under the robot like this. And maybe we can bring it a little bit higher up and the wheels a little bit lower, so we have more space here like this. And now we can go for more strength, like 150. Okay, and maybe now it's time to play with the background color. Give this like a blue color and increase the roughness. And now for the point light, let's increase the radius so it's not so sharp. And now in the render settings, we can increase the contrast look a little bit and play with the exposure if your scene is a little bit too dark. Now let me tweak the background again. And I think this looks quite okay. So now it's time for you to experiment with the lighting, you know, to bring in some more reflections. You can, for example, duplicate some of these lights around here and maybe bring in some more colored lights like this, so you get these nice colored reflections. Especially looks good on the metallic surfaces like this. So, you know, go wild with the lights, just don't overdo it. If you copy too many lights, make sure you reduce their strength so you don't overblow the scene or overexpose it. And just play around this, find something you're satisfied with like multiple reflections to really achieve this, glossy pixel stylized look. So that's it for today's illustration. I really hope you enjoyed this one. And again, if you did, please leave the like. And if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.